G'day Pickleball family. First thing to know, as shared on twitter.com by professional pickleball player Tyler Loong, is, and interestingly not shared on any other pickleball news outlets, as posted by Tyler Loong and his podcast co-host Jimmy Miller on their King of the Court podcast on YouTube, which I highly recommend you go and check out. They have announced that Major League Pickleball MLP founder Steve Kuhn has resigned. A commenter to Loong's announcement of the breaking news has also posted the letter sent out by Steve Kuhn to the 20 MLP principal owners, which I will read out for you here. Dear 20 MLP principal owners, a note to the MLP community. I wish to offer my sincere apology to the entire MLP community. My recent actions have been foolish and I have deep regrets. I have too often in my life let passion lead me down paths that are counterproductive. Last night was such an example. My desire with a win-win outcome for all parties is and was sincere, but my thinking on how best to achieve that has been clouded by emotion. I hereby offer to renounce any position of power within MLP, including my board seat and the 2 other seats I control. I have 2 asks. I would ask to be held harmless from legal liability and that I still be allowed to form the board and lead DUPA as per the spin-off plan that was agreed to by the MLP board this week. I plan to keep DUPA running by funding it and bringing in other investors, and if my recent actions would cause the hardworking staff members of DUPA to lose their jobs, it would cause me a great deal of distress. I will make every effort to make DUPA a success for the benefit of all and believe that is a role better suited for me. Even these 2 asks may seem too much for some, given their current feelings about me. I ask for their mercy and will seek to earn redemption in their eyes. Steve Kuhn. Very interesting events. A quick summary of that video, that breaking news, as shared by professional pickleball player Tyler Loong and his co-host Jimmy Miller on their King of the Court podcast on YouTube, is that Steve Kuhn tried to bring the DUPA board without the knowledge of 2 key board members for another round of or potential sell-offs of Major League Pickleball teams, which was not agreed to and voted against, which then led to Steve Kuhn stepping down. Major news again in the MLP and PPA merger. Second thing to know as we move across to the dinkpickleball.com, Pickleball needs near $900 million US to keep up with facility demand. Sports and Fitness Industries Associations, SFIA research says $900 million in construction costs are needed to keep up with current and future demand. Mind you, this is for the US only. I'm sure that figure would be much greater if we factor in the rest of the pickleball world outside the US. The report calls for 25,784 courts, well over 2 million square feet. If that seems unreasonably large, consider that's only about 11 Walmart stores. The bad news, the study also found that USA's largest cities are far behind in pickleball infrastructure, with New York and Los Angeles 98% below the national average for dedicated courts per 10,000 people. SFIA says there were nearly 9 million pickleball participants in 2022 last year. The region that recorded the highest levels of participation is the South Atlantic, with states like Georgia, Florida, and the Carolinas. Those states clocked 1.9 million pickleball players, where the Pacific region had 1.5 million, and East North Central had 1.4 million. Venture capital has already stepped foot into the pickleball space, despite some initial hesitancy to accept the industry as a serious sports investment opportunity. While investment firms are no doubt going to cover some of these costs, there are others in a position to help. 2 of the pro leagues are owned by billionaires. In fact, Major League Pickleball founder Steve Kuhn one of the bespoke billionaires, has already branched out into a pickleball facility known as Pickle Mall venture, aiming to take advantage of empty mall space. Other options for funding pickleball court construction include government grants. Local, state or federal government entities might allocate grants for sports infrastructure development. These grants could be obtained through Parks and Recreation Departments, community development programs, or sports-related initiatives. Non-profit organisations, sports-focused non-profit organisations, community foundations, or philanthropic entities might offer grants or financial support to fund pickleball court construction. Local businesses have already sponsored pickleball court construction as a way to support community development and enhance their brand image. Crowdfunding, community members and pickleball enthusiasts could pool their resources through crowdfunding platforms to collectively raise funds for court construction. Corporate sponsorships, companies looking to target an active and health-conscious demographic might sponsor pickleball court construction as a form of advertising and community engagement. Land developers. In some cases, land developers might be required to allocate a portion of their development projects to sports and recreation facilities, including pickleball courts. It's important to tailor the funding strategy to the local context, community needs, and available resources. Collaborative efforts involve a combination of these funding sources could help make the construction of pickleball courts more financially feasible and sustainable in the long term. Third thing to note, moving across to the usapickleball.org site, and from the hardwood to the pickleball court, the Hansborough brothers are gearing up for nationals. Tyler and Ben Hansborough haven't lost their competitive nature just because they're no longer battling in the paint and diving onto the basketball court for a loose ball. Around a year ago, the Hansborough brothers decided to start playing pickleball. The way Tyler tells it, those first few matches were against his brother's wife, and her sister turned into battles that got him hooked on the sport. And there have been those epic matches between Tyler and Ben, both former college basketball stars who went on to the NBA, that got so heated that a pickleball paddle and a few disparaging words were thrown around afterward. Now that we're 35 and 37, we have to make sure the temperature in the room doesn't go up too high, said Ben, who's the younger of the two brothers. And we've had that a couple of times, but we've grown from it. We're both very competitive people, and it's always been like that. But it's been a lot of fun playing together as well. The Hansborough brothers have gone from dominating on the basketball court to starting from scratch on the pickleball court. It has been a fun learning experience for the former NBA teammates who are now looking to rise through the ranks as amateur pickleball players. It's probably not as physically demanding as basketball for me because I'm not having to box out or bang against a 7-foot, 300-pound guy, but pickleball has its own challenges mentally, said Tyler, who's 6'9". Now, more than a decade after they were teammates on the Indiana Pacers, Tyler and Ben are preparing to compete as doubles partners at the 2023 USA Pickleball National Championships, which runs from November 5 through 12 in Farmers Branch, a suburb of Dallas. They'll be among several recognisable amateur players who are scheduled to compete at nationals, including another former NBA player in Hall of Famer Rick Barry. In late August, Tyler was inducted into the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame. The 2007-2008 National Player of the Year, he's considered one of the greatest players in college basketball history, earning the nickname Psycho T, as he led the University of North Carolina to a national championship in 2009. The Pacers selected Tyler with the number 13 pick in the 2009 NBA draft. 3 years later, Ben joined his brother in Indiana when he signed with the Pacers after being named the Big East Player of the Year as a 6'3" guard at Notre Dame. After 7 seasons in the NBA and then more playing overseas, Tyler needed a new sport to turn his attention to after stepping away from basketball. When he started playing pickleball, Tyler admitted he sometimes made the mistake of underestimating an opponent who didn't look as athletic as him. His opponent would end up making Tyler look like a baby giraffe as he stumbled around the court chasing after shots. After that, Tyler said he got serious about developing his skills as a pickleball player. He started attending pickleball camps with Ben, including one camp where they met professional pickleball player Jenna Hessett. Hessett began working with the Hansboroughs, teaching them different strategies to utilise during a match. She'd also break down footage of them playing to let them know which aspects of their game they needed to improve on. Initially, when I started playing and just having fun, I didn't know much about a drop shot or my dinking wasn't as good, Tyler said. And then when I started competing and playing competitively, I was like, hey, I have to get really good at dinking and I've got to get really good at these drop shots. It's a pretty easy sport to pick up, but to master it and advance and get a lot better, that's where it becomes, to me, a challenge. Tyler has become so addicted to pickleball that he tries to play every day. If he can't get in a match for some reason, he has a dink pad at home that he can use to practice his shots. Tyler said he has learned to limit how much time he spends playing pickleball. He found he'd wake up the day after playing pickleball for hours and his body would be sore when he got out of bed. I've tried to cut it back, Tyler said. When I go to the court, I try to keep everything under 90 minutes or 2 hours because my body's already taken a lot of damage from playing basketball and the pickleball court isn't the most forgiving surface. So you've got to take care of the body too. Ben also tries to play pickleball every day. He said a pickleball match doesn't take as nearly much of a toll on his body as a basketball game used to for him. That's because, he said, pickleball involves more straight-on movements and sliding instead of twisting and turning like in pickleball. But the Hansborough brothers bring the same amount of game planning to a pickleball match as they did to a basketball game, and, of course, the same intensity. If we have a tournament coming up, usually a month before, we try to drill every day together and watch videos, Ben said. We actually have a coach that helps us out sometimes too, so we're always trying to prepare well and be ready going into it. The same level of preparation for basketball comes with pickleball too, which is kind of funny to say, but it's the truth. Paddles up.